Nation.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Winners Lounge.
Winners Lounge.
Let's go.
The vibes are high and mighty today here at the DNVR bar. This is DNVR Buffs Primetime. We are presented by Illegal Pete's. Check out any of their 10 Colorado locations for happy hour, 3 to 6 p.m. every single day. Jake Schwanitz, RK is here, and then we brought in our college basketball sicko, Will Darkey, to join DNVR Buffs Primetime. Hoops fans, you know his voice at least. Now he's on the show. Will, what is up, brother?
That I don't know if there could be a better compliment for me than college basketball sicko. I love it, and I'm so happy to be here. But I'm even happier that I get to be here on a Winners Lounge podcast.
Yes,
so
sir.
let's have a good one.
Yeah, it would have been rough if your first appearance on the live was after they lost by like 20 in the first
Yeah,
round.
yeah. But hey, maybe I'm the good luck.
Brought out the fire vintage shirt too.
Yes, sir.
Let's
this was
go.
gifted to me by some sweet friends. So
Love
definitely
it.
got to keep them around after this great shirt.
We've mentioned it, but the Buffs beat Washington in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament, 74-68. For you all in the comments, we will get to Coach Prime in the Pivot podcast, but this is a huge win for the Buffs, a team that's been very inconsistent all year. Tad Boyle does it again, Ryan.
Greatest coach in the history of the first round of the Pac-12 tournament. It might be niche, but you take what you can get. I did also find out today that Dana Altman has also never lost in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament, but Tad owns Dana Altman, so we'll take it.
There you go.
I mean, this is a feel-good win, I think, for this team. I think, weirdly enough, they've like dug deep and found a little something without KJ Simpson on there. I talked with you yesterday, I think, when I said there were so many possessions where they were just like, all right, KJ, you got this. And he was just like, well, I'm tiny, so I'll try. And then, a lot of sometimes he did just create magic because he's, that talented. Other times he was just like trying to throw something up at the rim, draw a foul, and it wasn't working. It feels like they're playing a little bit more team basketball now. Obviously, Julian Hammond stepping right into those shoes today. But I don't know. I'm not going to say they're going to go win tomorrow, but it feels like they have like a little bit of
Pep in their step.
Magic right now.
Yep. Will, what was your biggest takeaway from today?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it after the Utah game when that was the first game without KJ, and you were concerned that you didn't know where it was going to come because you needed Tristan, but outside of Tristan, what was going to step up? And you had guys step up that game, and you saw it again, like you said, Julian Hammond, career high 21 points, 7 of 12 shooting. Like, it was an efficient 21 points. He kind of took charge down the end. He had that sweet spin little fadeaway in the crunch time, and yeah, Luke O'Brien with another double-double. It's just these role players that are stepping up again and yeah, kind of willing the Buffs to these close victories.
Yeah. I mean, when he hit that little fadeaway, I said, is that Julian Hammond or Tiger Campbell? Like, that's what, Tiger's made a whole college career out of, is that little mid-range turnaround. He also had a deep three.
Yep.
I don't know, with 8 minutes left. That was huge. It's really cool to see. And you said, without meaning to say it, the problem with this team is you said these role players are stepping up. The problem is it's a whole team of role players. And on certain nights when they have it going, that can be good. Obviously, you have Tristan and you have KJ, who you would say are your stars, and then everyone else is role players. You usually need 3, and they haven't had it this year. They haven't had a third guy that you can look at and say, he's going to give it to you night in, night out. Some nights it was Luke. Some nights it was Tristan. If you get 2 other guys to go, then you have a good chance of winning. And in these last 2 games, it just felt like you're getting like a balanced effort from everyone. You would have expected Tristan to carry the load. It's not really the case. So tonight you get what you get from Tristan, but then you get Julian Hammond and you get Luke O'Brien to both have great performances, and then you go win. Tomorrow, you're gonna need more. You're gonna need Tristan, Luke, Julian, maybe Ethan Wright to make a couple open threes. Like, you're going to need some magic to make it happen, but on a night in, night out basis, each one of these guys have showed they have the capability to be that guy. It's just that they don't have enough who can constantly be that guy.
The one thing that it kind of reminds me of is when a coach gets fired and then you're on an interim coach week.
Yeah.
And the players that they had a little bump in the road that week, but they're going to all step up. They're going to maybe put 105 into this game. And that's kind of what it feels like with KJ. KJ goes down and every player looks at each other and like, all right, this is our time to step up, and that's what you're seeing in these outcomes. And I couldn't agree more that you're going to need this and more tomorrow against UCLA. But
I mean, Tristan Da Silva, a nice game, still not exactly healthy off that ankle, but still 18 points, 7-11 from the field. He also had 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Even when he's not at his best, Tristan Da Silva is an impact player for this team. And just having him dig deep and be able to pull out these performances against Utah on Saturday, today against Washington, you're going to need it against UCLA. I guess let's talk about this UCLA matchup, because the Buffs hung in with UCLA both times this year. UCLA shot poorly in both performances, however. Are we expecting another tight one tomorrow with the Bruins?
Did UCLA shoot poorly, or did the Buffs play good defense?
Both.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
What was the score on the road?
oh,
Because the home game
Yeah, you got
obviously was kind of disappointing that they weren't able to pull it out. That was all the way down to the wire. I don't remember the road game as well.
It was a close game, and like UCLA was like 0 for 17 from 3 or something, and then had like a 12-point run late. They ended up kind of blowing them out.
I
I
do
think.
remember it. Yeah, it was like tight through the first half, and then they kind of pulled away after that.
Right.
yeah, they were up 10 with like 10 minutes left, and then just being on the road, a timeout happens, come back from the timeout, UCLA builds this momentum, and then they kind of lost track of it, but
Oh, that was a Bill Walton game.
it was a Bill Walton game.
Final score was 68-54 in that game. Colorado was leading late. I think like 8 minutes left into the second half. Just fell apart. I mean, we'll see, man.
Well, and that's been the issue, right? Truly, it's the like dark mark on the entire Tad Boyle era. Is there have been so many times where that graphic that Dre and I always joke about on bets comes up and it says Colorado 0 field goals in the last 4 minutes, and that's what happened in that game. They just they had control. They got a little bit of pressure on them, and they started missing shots. And sometimes like 2 or 3 missed shots turns into like 8 or 9, and they're forcing, and that's when you see KJ like wildly driving to the rim because he's just trying to create something for this team. So that's the other thing tomorrow is like you can't have that. You can't have those long dry spells, and they had one today too.
Yep.
They were in control of this game until they kind of had that. So if they're going to win tomorrow, which would be a massive upset, I'm assuming they will be double-digit dogs. It's going to take a full team offensive and defensive effort where you're just not having those long dry spells.
Yeah, and we kind of saw the chinks in the armor today. I mean, in the first half, the Buffs only shot 34%. They had still double-digit turnovers in this game. They just pulled it out late. Luke O'Brien, though, I mean, another double-double for him. He's really come on of late, especially as he's been inserted into the starting lineup, being more than just a bench role player. This guy is coming in and contributing from start to finish in these games. 32 minutes today. Also had 2 assists, 2 steals. The guy is just really rounding out his game and is being able to really help out this team when they're hurt. I mean, they're down Hadley, they're down Ruffin,
Yep.
No KJ too. Having guys like Luke, I think Ethan Wright had 11 points today too. Having those guys step up, you're going to need that and much more tomorrow against the Bruins.
Ethan Wright had some like big boy plays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hit some threes early and then 2 big drives to the rim late. That was great to see. Question on Luke Bryan though is, does he have the clutch gene?
He might have it now.
Yeah. This is now 2 like really big end of shot clock threes in high leverage moments.
No, yeah, because he's like the perfect Tad Boyle player where he will just get in the scrum. He will get the rebounds. He's exactly what Tad wants out there. But, yeah, you're starting to see him knock down these big shots. And I don't know. Luke O'Brien is really coming to his own this year. He has thoroughly impressed me. And, yeah, when he was on the bench and then started kind of feeding into some more minutes here and there, got into the rotation more, and then had to step up into the starting role. And he hasn't missed a beat. He's just continually gotten better and better this season. Yeah, a double-double in the first round of the Pac-12 tournaments just shows his growth.
Early line for tomorrow, guys. UCLA -8, Buffs +300 on the money line.
Plus 300. That's
Feeling
actually
good about
that's
that?
less than I thought. So
I wish it was higher. I was thinking Buffs would be like plus 450.
Yeah. Well, they have played UCLA tough both times.
And the one thing with UCLA is one of their star
Yes.
guards, Jalen Clark, just announced today torn Achilles.
Yikes.
So he was Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. So that hate to see guys go down with injuries, but it might make scoring a bit easier tomorrow for the Buffs. So that's just another thing. Maybe makes the line a little less than it would be.
It's tough to say this because he's had such a short leash. One guy we haven't mentioned who could be such a boost tomorrow and, certainly has the talent to play on the same court as UCLA is Quincy Allen. Mm-hmm. It just feels like Tad right now is like, all right, I'm going to give you one rotation, and if you fuck up, you're done. And both of the last 2 games, he's gone out there. He hasn't really made any impact. He's had like a bad defensive rotation, and then he's done. But against UCLA, right? That was the game that he kind of got his first minutes and hit a couple threes.
I think it was the USC game.
Okay, there you go. Mm-hmm. But like, he could be such a boost, especially for a team that just does not have enough shooting. He's got a quick trigger. If he could go out there tomorrow and make 3 threes, which I know is asking a lot, but that could be something that gives them a chance that changes that game.
I mean, we talked about how the Buffs have played defensively against UCLA these last 2 games. I think we're going to expect another kind of grinded out, low scoring game. So, of course, points are going to come at a premium. If you get someone like Quincy Allen to give you 2 or 3, maybe even more 3-point hits or just all around field goals, it's any boost. We'll take any boost that this team can get at this point.
No, yeah, we talked about it during the game when Quincy was in and how he's not like the level of player like Michael Porter Jr., but he kind of gives similar vibes of just he's got that shoot first mentality. And I think if tomorrow you insert him into the lineup and he's kind of on one of his on days and you get 3 made threes, like he's the type of guy that can get hot and just go on a streak of making threes and kind of be a difference maker for the Buffs pulling out an upset tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, he reminds me of, obviously, it's a light version, but that rookie Michael Porter Jr. For the Nuggets, where it's just like you put him in there and he does things that you're like, wow, like, but they're not in the flow of the offense, and you can't trust him to know where to go on defense on the other side. And like, I just remember the struggle that Michael Malone was having, which was like, how much can I really afford to play this guy? And I just know Tad is in that same spot where it's like, I want to play him. I want to see what he can do. Obviously, his upside is huge for us. But then all of a sudden you get into this like tight nitty-gritty game like they're in today, and I know Tad's sitting there thinking like, I can't play him because he's just going to lose sight of his guy on defense. They're going to get a backdoor layup or whatever, and that could change the game. So I think he's going to get his opportunity tomorrow. We just need him to come out hot and make an impact quickly.
Player of the game, are we all on Julian Hammond with this one?
I think it has to go to him because, especially with KJ being out, it was Julian Hammond's time to step up, and boy, did he ever. Like, 21 points. Just, like, to be inserted into the starting lineup and put up a career high in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament, like, you can't ask for much more out of Julian Hammond. He looks so solid today. So
The other person who they desperately need a good performance from is Lawson Lovering.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that Lawson still has another level that he can go to, but it's been disappointing just in terms of the hype that was built around him, which is not necessarily his fault.
Right.
But, it hasn't come to fruition. I think the speed of things is what he just hasn't been able to catch up to. That being said, when he is when he's at his best, we've seen him, make some nice little jump hooks. We've seen him have some great contests at the rim. So it's like sort of the same thing with Tad, where he's just like, man, I have to have him out there because he gives us a different size that we can't get even close to with anyone else on the floor. But another guy who tomorrow, if the Buffs are going to win, it needs to be one of those, like he's like 4 for 4 from the field, couple blocks, and stays out of foul trouble. I
mean, it was kind of a typical Lawson Lovering game. He got into some little chippy moments, potential technical moments, but he did have 9 points, went 4 or 6 from the field, also brought in 5 rebounds. This is certainly not one of his worst performances this year, so I think you take it as they come along.
Yep. I'm excited for tomorrow. It's they're in Vegas, they're playing with house money.
Yes, they are.
Just go out there, leave it all on the floor. Will and I were talking this before the game. They don't really have a shot at going to the NIT, but a win like this could boost them. And a win like this gets you into the semifinals when you've knocked out the number 1 seed. So it should be fun. And I think they'll go out there and they'll definitely play their hearts out.
No, yeah, you won today, so now what? You're only 3 games away from an automatic bid. Like you moved yourself one step closer to even making March Madness still, and hence the name March Madness. It's March.
Yep.
Like no one's counting on you, and no one thinks you can go out and beat UCLA tomorrow. So why not just go out and do it? No expectation, just go and have fun.
Absolutely.
Any final takeaways before we move on, gentlemen?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Tad Boyle pads the resume, 12-1, and the one loss doesn't count.
There you go.
Yep.
Let's go Buffs, baby. The Buffs will be playing UCLA tomorrow at 1 p.m. I believe this is also on the Pac-12 network.
I quickly want to address what Jay said in the comments. He said, "Is DNVR Buffs all CU sports?" Just asking because I've only ever seen you cover football, but this is cool. Yeah, I mean, we did a little on the women's team the other night when they were in the tournament. We'll certainly, I assume, be talking a lot more basketball next year when Cody Williams, who on 3, who we like when they say what we want them to say and we don't like when they say what we don't want them to say. We like them in this situation because they made Cody Williams the number 1 player in the country. I don't know if CU fans have fully grasped that yet. The number 1 player in the country.
That's what
is coming to Colorado to play basketball.
I texted Jake that yesterday, that on campus next year, you will have the number 1 player in football from the 2022 class and the number 1 player from the 2023 class for basketball, both just walking around campus.
Yeah, and at one point, the number 2 player in the 2023 football class.
Right.
Yeah. It's insane. And so once he gets here, I think it's going to change a lot. Like I said, you need 3, right? Well, if you just have Tristan, KJ, and Cody, plus they have more recruits coming in, maybe you get another one. The story should be very different next year. This is the one thing that Tad Boyle has not yet had is, well, I shouldn't say he hasn't had it, but he got really unlucky when he did have it, which was Spencer Dinwiddie. It's a player that is just capable of taking you to a Sweet 16 themselves. And that's usually what happens with these number 1 overall players. They go to a school, usually it's a bigger school, but an example would be Ben Simmons going to LSU. Then they're just really good that year. And that's the world that they could live in. Tad Boyle hasn't gotten over that hump. Cody Williams could be the guy that gets him to the Sweet 16 and beyond next year, and probably should be that guy, especially if he's going to live up to that billing.
And then mix in a senior Tristan Da Silva, a 3rd-year KJ Simpson. I mean, things are coming up for the Buffs, man. Buff stonks are on the rise.
Yep, Hassan Diop.
Yes. We'll see. Hopefully Lawson takes a jump, too.
I think you can say the prime effect might be seeping a little bit into the men's basketball team.
Well, it's funny because a lot of the comments on that on 3 post ranking at number 1 were wow, the prime effect. And it's okay, let's give Tad a little credit here. Cody committed to Colorado before Coach Prime.
It was before.
But I think the Coach Prime effect could actually spill over into basketball. And here is the very direct way it will. We talked about him today. Bobby Klintman, who couldn't get into Colorado last year because of the transfer rules, is at Wake right now, tearing it up. We would be having a totally different conversation where we might be talking about Colorado as a tournament team right now if he gets in. Well, Coach Prime comes in. They immediately changed everything in the transfer world. And now Tad should be able to directly benefit from that. If not, just from the exposure, who knows what famous basketball player's son is going to want to come to Colorado to hang out with Shedeur and Coach Prime and everyone.
Or heck, even you saw Travis Hunter, a couple months ago now, but when he went to the CU Rec Center and just...
That boy can ball.
He can ball. Just bring in a multi-sport athlete. Why not bring in your own Deion Sanders, have him play some football, basketball? Obviously, I'm kidding. You can't really do that in today's day and age, but hey, maybe Colorado's becoming a pretty fun destination. So
yep.
I was going to say Drew Carter's still on the roster.
I'm still blown away by the bounce from Travis Hunter.
It's super impressive.
He got up.
Yeah.
He's got bunnies for sure. We'll talk about Coach Prime on the Pivot podcast, but first shout out to our friends at Jive Hive, the virtual dispensary on wheels that will deliver to you wherever you are in Aurora, Greenwood Village, Monument, Fountain, and various areas of El Paso County. They do not have any brick and mortar stores, so that means low overhead, meaning lower prices for you guys. As I said, they can deliver to wherever you are, to your job, to your home. Just visit jivehive.com. That's JIVEHYVE.com and get your order delivered the same day or scheduled delivery window. We'll be there to say hi. Head on over to jivehive.com and enter your address to find out if Jive Hive can deliver to your door. That's JIVEHYVE.com. Don't drive. Jive Hive. And then shout out to our presenting sponsor, Illegal Pete's. Right now, Illegal Pete's has a great deal going on for the month of March. You can donate by drinking at Illegal Pete's. It's as easy as that. They're teaming up with Tito's. It's for every vodka fresh press sold this month. They'll be donating $1 to Youth on Record. Visit any of their 10 Colorado locations, order a Tito's Fresh Press, and know that your money is going to support Colorado's next big star. Illegal Pete's, is it your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers?
Oh, definitely. Like being up at Boulder, right on the hill, it is definitely a go-to.
Yes, sir, and there it is.
That location is always packed.
Yeah.
I tried to go there after a football game this year, and like the line was out the door.
Mm-hmm.
The Pivot Podcast.
Yes.
Coach Prime on another one, and I have to say it was another banger, man. Just getting any insight into this guy's mind, how he operates, is always a treat. Where do you want to start, Ryan?
I want to start here. If you allow him to cook, that man can cook.
Yeah.
And I think that's legitimately a thing. Like, when he sits down and he's talking for an hour straight, it's just like too many opportunities. He's just going to eventually produce flames. And he did several times in this podcast. But the one that's on my mind was actually just brought up in the comments. It was Channing Crowder who said to him something along the lines of like, yeah, like you came in and you were disrespectful to those players.
Yeah.
Coach Prime immediately stopped him in his track and he said, no, it was not disrespectful. It was real. I was being real with those players. And I think like he truly means that when he says it. He was being real with them. And I don't think it was disrespectful. I know a lot of people around the country took issue with it. Like damn near every other thing Coach Prime does.
Yes.
But it was real. And he never said, you all suck, leave. He never said, none of you can play, get out.
Right.
He said, the standard's about to change. There's some really good players coming in. And if you don't like it and you can't live up to the standard here, then you should leave.
It was the difference between disrespect and honesty, because that's what Coach Prime was. He was honest in those moments. I mean, Channing brought up the bringing in the Louis luggage, that line and everything, and how that's kind of perceived just outside of the program. And Coach Prime was like, well, look, I'm being honest. Like guys like Travis Hunter committed to me. I mean, of course I was at Jackson State, but he was wanting to learn from me. And that's just, I think, the difference that a lot of these people are missing out is that Coach Prime built that program, and he's going to bring his players that he brought in to help heighten it.
100%. And then you add in the fact, like I said, if you let him cook, he's going to cook. That line is now synonymous with Colorado football. Mm-hmm. And you've literally seen it in well-off videos. There's like a woman carrying like a Louis purse when Coach Prime walks by. She's like, look, I got my Louis.
Yes.
Like, that's a branding moment. That's marketing. Yes. That's everyone now associates Louis Vuitton, which is like one of the highest designer brands, with Colorado football. You realize the value of that? Mm-hmm. Like, we would have been talking about like Jansen backpacks or whatever those are.
JanSports.
JanSports. We used to be JanSport. Yes. Now we're Louis. Like that's the Coach Prime effect.
He also had a great quote. I don't dream when I'm asleep. I dream when I'm wide awake. That's the difference, man.
Incredible.
He's pretty amazing. He talked about his sons. Did you mention the Shedeur part yet?
No, that was really good though.
Okay. We'll have you get to that. But first, he was talking about Shiloh and the SWAC title game last year. How he treats his sons just like every other player. Shiloh was late to a meeting before that SWAC title game. He told him literally get out of the room, and then Shiloh didn't play. Man.
What's wild is he was early.
Yes, technically
but early is late.
Yes, exactly.
That's and that is an insane standard. But when you're Coach Prime, you can hold people to that standard, mm-hmm. and no one questions it. You know, if Carl Durrell was trying to hold people to that standard, I think there would be a lot more dissent within the players. And you talk about like losing the locker room and like stuff like that can go really wrong when you don't necessarily have the cachet to hold that upon people. But when you set a standard like that and you hold everyone to that standard, the college football coaches love to say it, the standard is the standard. And when you set that, that's what it becomes. And so if the meeting's at 7 and Coach Prime says, well, really that means you should be in your seat by 6:45, then you just you become wired that way.
Yep.
It doesn't become weird or different anymore. You're just, okay, well, I got to be there at 6:45. Like, you just essentially have to change your brain to think the meeting is at 6:45, not at 7.
Right.
And, essentially, as long as you don't let anyone get away with it, then that becomes normal, and, then you get what you want from everyone.
Let's
just to double down on that. He talks about this stuff a lot.
Yes.
He has these very serious rules: no phones, no earrings, no hoodies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that would have been an opportunity for him to slip. I mean, we're talking about the SWAC championship game, not just anyone in week 3. And I'm sure internally he didn't want to bench Shiloh. But he knows that you cannot play favorites, and a lot of coaches do. And if you talk to football players, they'll say, essentially, Russell Wilson does get an offense because he's the quarterback. Right?
Yeah.
But you also see the problems that were caused in the Broncos locker room over the fact that Russell Wilson wasn't one of the guys. So as soon as you give your son preferential treatment, they're no longer one of the guys, right? They're in this different category, and it's not good for you, it's not good for them, and it's not good for the team. So that should tell the players at Colorado everything they need to know is there are no favorites. The standard is the standard. You either meet it or you're out.
We got more Coach Prime admiration for RG, our guy Rick George, too. I thought that was super interesting. He talked about how he went and got Coach Prime, how he treated Coach Prime different than other ADs in terms of a want to and need to bring him to Colorado, shared his vision for Colorado. I mean, we talked about this a ton, but I just think it stands out just how much he loves this man.
What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I mean, that entire time I kept going back to the you were being disrespectful to those players thing, and it's just I also disagree with that. It's a level of he wants their respect, and if the players will give him respect, he will respect them because Coach Prime has said it. He doesn't want to go to the pros. He wants to coach college kids to help make young men better, and so I think that's where he needs respect from them so that he can then make them better. Because if there's just not discipline and there are just these long leashes here and there, it's going to become a Carl Durrell run organization where you go 1-11. And so times are changing, and I feel like you just have to, like you were saying, you just have to respect. It's Coach Prime. You got to respect his word and his authority because he's that guy, and he is the Louis.
And he gets, because he's Coach Prime, he gets more opportunity to do this stuff. And I think one of the things that's making him a great coach is he's taking every ounce of it. Like, when you decide to play for Coach Prime, you're not expecting some easy experience. And that is like a self-fulfilling prophecy for him, because then he gets players that he knows are not coming here to be babied. They're coming here to be coached and like he loves to say, turned into men.
Yep.
And that makes your life easier because the less guys that you get that don't want to, that don't want to be great, that don't want to be coached, the better off you are. And the more guys you end up with like that you say, oh, well, he threw for 50 touchdowns or he caught, 30 touchdowns in high school. He may have a lot of off the field and his coaches say he doesn't like to work hard, but I can fix him. Was it Coach Prime or I forget who said if you make one exception, you end up with a roster of exceptions. As soon as you start making up exceptions, oh, well, we can make an exception for this guy because he's 6'4" and he jumps out of the gym or whatever. That's when you end up with a roster full of exceptions. So by setting his standard and enforcing it so staunchly, he puts himself in a position where the guys that can't handle that won't come here. And that is actually a good thing for him, even if you miss out on a couple talented players. Same is true for the NIL stuff. like I've said on this show before, I've kind of heard behind closed doors what his true stance is on NIL, and he touched on it a little bit in this podcast, but it's essentially you can't have this guy making $1 million and this guy who's beating him on the field making nothing because he's a walk-on, and you gave $1 million to this kid because he was great in high school, but he can't cut it on the field here. All of a sudden, there creates all these imbalances in your locker room. So, he takes a very hard stance on this, says, I don't make exceptions for anyone. Here's what we do for NIL. Obviously, you can go out and make all the money you want selling cars or whatever it may be, but I'm not going to show preferential treatment by how much money I'm giving to players to come here via a collective or whatever, because then all of a sudden your locker room dynamics are all messed up, and guys think that they're above the rules or they're above their fellow teammates. And we've seen it even just with what he asked them to wear to a workout. Like, no one is different here. Everyone is on the same plane. And again, that prevents him from getting a guy who's going to transfer out because he's upset with the way his NIL thing shook out, like every player at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I feel like you can go back to his opening presser, and I'm obviously paraphrasing here, but when he told Shedeur to stand up, and then he's like that. He said like that's your
quarterback.
Yeah. That's your quarterback, but then he's like, but he's gonna have to earn it or something. It's like that's his son, but he's like, he's still just a football player on this roster, and he's gonna have to become the QB1. And so
the good news for Coach Prime is he will earn it.
Yes, he will.
Yeah,
I think that's what he said. How do you fight back on the accusations of nepotism? He said, put on the tape. That's how I fight back.
Yep.
Like, if you don't think Shedeur should be starting, you're out your damn mind.
you don't know
For
football.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to go back to the Rick George thing, though.
Yeah.
It is so interesting hearing him talk about Rick George and just how much he made an impact on this. And I think what I realized is Rick George recruited Coach Prime.
He did.
That's not how this normally works.
No.
A lot of times you tell a coach you're interested in, essentially you're saying, like, we are interested in interviewing you to give you an opportunity to potentially become the coach. And there's a chance that other schools have tried that with Coach Prime. And I think Rick George realized, like, you don't tell Coach Prime, hey, we'd like to interview you for a chance to be our head coach. You tell Coach Prime, I need to do everything I can in my power to get this program back to what it was. And I love that he said, like, how much he loves Colorado and how no matter what, when he leaves here, whenever that may be, he wants to leave it in a good spot. And he said, like, that's the last thing. If that's the last thing I do, that's what I want to do, and you're the guy to do it. Not, do you want to interview for the job? Like, I need you to come do this because you're the only one who can do it.
Right. It's like you said, I mean, Rick George essentially recruited him, whereas a lot of other ADs at other schools are maybe more trying to sell their school to Coach Prime, being like, hey, this is what we have here. You can come here and do this. Rick George had his whole plan laid out, and that's what Coach Prime talked about in this podcast. And then the interesting part, too, is Coach Prime came back and said, not only did Rick George have his plans, I had my plans laid out also. And I don't think, what Coach Prime was kind of saying is, I don't think Rick George was really expecting me to have this much homework really done on this university. But if I'm going to go do the thing, I'm going to do the thing.
I'm excited. I'm hoping one day that we're able to get Rick George on the show.
Yes.
And that would be one of my first questions for him, was like, when Coach Prime laid out his plan for how he's going to fix Colorado, is that when you, like, started to get the butterflies, like, oh my God, we might actually get him? Because I assume that's what it was. Like, Rick George is courting, and then Coach Prime's like, oh yeah, I know. I have a plan. I already know about your facilities and this and that. It's like, oh shit, he's actually interested.
Oh, he actually cares.
Yeah.
Shedeur. They call him grown for a reason, Ryan.
Yeah, well, I wanted to actually talk about the part in there when Coach Prime was out. And essentially Shedeur, as Coach Prime explained, it was like 74% completions when he was there, and then all of a sudden it's 72, 70, 68. And Shedeur, who, this is why it's so interesting to me, because when you see their, like, dynamic between the two of them, it's this father-son, it's not quite Shiloh and Coach Prime where they're, like, giving each other shit all the time, but, like, Shedeur definitely, like, has his own swagger about him and isn't like, oh, almighty father, Coach Prime.
Right.
Like, what should I do here? But in that moment, when Coach Prime was gone, which he had never not been there for any of Shedeur's games in his entire life, not been the coach or a coach, Shedeur goes to Coach Prime. First of all, he's visiting him every single day in the hospital. And one day it just says, like, I need you. And, like, knowing what we know about Shedeur and the confidence that he has, the impact of him telling Coach Prime, I need you, just had to have been immense. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't know if Shedeur has ever said that to anyone ever other than Coach Prime in that moment. And, you know, I think he almost got emotional when he was telling that story on the pivot, just because it's like, that is, he prides himself so much on being there for his kids and being, you know, there every step of the way, no matter what it is, that him walking in there, he was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to get on the field. And obviously, you know, he does, and Shedeur gets back to being Shedeur.
Well, it got really deep because Coach Prime was talking about his childhood, how his mom was always working, how his dad, stepdad were kind of always in and out, and how he never really had that, how they weren't always there at his games and stuff, and how he kind of had to grow up himself and develop his personality just kind of around that, only really relying on himself in these instances. But now he's got a son that comes to him and says to him in the hospital bed, I need you. Like, it's powerful, man.
Yeah, very powerful. I'd love to talk to Shedeur about that moment, too.
We will at some point. Will, any analysis on Shedeur and Coach Prime's relationship?
No, just that it's special. It totally goes far beyond just a coach and a quarterback. But when you then bring it back to the football field and it is the coach and quarterback, having just as strong of a connection as you see between the two, it just makes me like that much more excited for this upcoming season.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I've seen this a lot with athletes and their children. Usually there's one that has that like extra little thing that's closer to their parent. Mm-hmm. And while all of Coach Prime's kids, you know, have what makes them special, what makes Shedeur special is he has the Coach Prime drive and work ethic. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that is what's going to make him, you know, an NFL quarterback soon, is that he just, the competitiveness, the drive, all of that stuff, the fire to be great, the desire to be great. It's why Coach Prime has said in other interviews, as someone just pointed out, like, I've spent more time with Shedeur than any other of my kids, because Shedeur wants to absorb any and everything he can from his dad, because he knows that his dad has done everything that he wants to do. He, you know, succeeded in the NFL at the highest level, become a Hall of Famer, succeeded at college, all of that stuff. Like, he's done it, and he just wants to take anything and everything he can. Mm-hmm. And that's why, you know, I think those two have such a close and special relationship.
Anything else from the Pivot podcast?
Was there anything in the comments that people pointed out? There's so much to digest over an hour of that.
RK was cooking, though. You've been cooking, man.
Thanks. All I needed was a Buffs win to get the vibes
there you go. PD Swag, we have your package. We'll be taking care of that as soon as we're done with this podcast. All right, then. Comment section. It's your favorite time of the week. Shout out to Roman. Roman is a digital health clinic for men addressing a variety of sexual health needs and offering genuine medication that helps guys with low T or ED. In men with low T, getting testosterone levels back to normal can help increase your libido. And Roman offers a testosterone test, which includes lab processing that is appropriate for you. They will deliver straight to your door. As I mentioned, they are a digital health clinic, so no waiting rooms, no hassle. It's a straightforward digital experience from the comfort of your home. All the medication and testing is delivered directly to you with free 2-day shipping. To learn more about how you can achieve your personal sexual health goals, go to ro.co/DNVR to get 20% off your entire first order. That's ro.co/DNVR. Look at the comments. They're going crazy. They love it. There you go. Shout out to Roman. And then also shout out to our friends at Box and Shanker. They're always here. If you need help and have been winning money for Colorado families for more than 25 years, no upfront fees to speak with them, no upfront fees while they work on your case, and no upfront fees unless they win your case and win money for you. They're now serving all of Colorado, including neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, and Fort Collins.
Jake, they want to hear your smooth jazz voice when you do the Roman read.
Okay, next Wednesday. You know what's coming.
Can we get some music queued up for that?
There you
too?
go. Some smooth jazz.
Bass, a little, you know.
Dim the lights a little bit.
There you go.
We're going to bring it down.
Set the mood. Box and Shaker helps with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault: car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks, and can even help if you're injured at work. Hit them at the Shedeur line, 222-2222, to find out if you have a case for free. Box and Shanker wins. And then shout out to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. What?
I was just saying, that shows you the advertising on DNVR works. Big Teasy said the number before you even said it.
There you go. Absolutely love it.
It's such a good phone number.
It's fantastic.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you win some money on DraftKings Sportsbook betting on the Buffs?
I certainly did, yes. I also had a insane same-game parlay that I hit last night.
Will did too.
Yes.
Well, I thought mine was cool, and then I talked to
know.
Ryan, and I was like, okay.
I shouldn't have done that to him. I really just one-upped him right there. But we pretty much had the same
We
same
had the
game.
same parlay. You just kept going.
Yeah, well, it was a free bet.
Okay.
So I was like, I might as well just get crazy with it. I had Avs to win by 3 or more, Mikko Rantanen anytime goal scorer, Nathan McKinnon anytime goal scorer, Avs to win the third period, and Avs to win in a shutout, which literally created the biggest sweat fest of 20 minutes I've ever went through. Avs were up 6-0 going into the third period. The game was over. Everything else had hit in this, and I was just like, please don't give up a goal. Please don't give up a goal. Every single time it was in the defensive zone, I was just dying, but it came through.
I mean, it was a great game, though, because they only gave up like 13 shots or something. Like, yeah, but
And then the Buffs were minus 150 today. I knew Tad was the GOAT of the first round, so I was like, I'm just going to...
Can't fade him in the first round.
Exactly.
Yep.
What are you laughing at?
The comments are killing me right now, man. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up with code DNVR. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code DNVR. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. The Buffs
Our
plus 8
comment
tomorrow.
section, when they get hot, I don't think that
They're
anyone
amazing.
can match them in the whole all-city family.
They're amazing, man.
Robert's comment is just great.
There's so many good ones in there. Okay, I have to hit on a housekeeping note here because
Go for
Jay in the comments has been pushing us hard to get guests.
Yes.
Which part of me appreciates. Part of me, I'm like, hey, bro, it's harder than you think to get
Yes.
guests. But he said we need to hire a booker. So, Jay, are you offering your services?
There you go.
Because, we can talk. That being said, we have booked a guest for next week. We won't reveal it quite yet, but next Thursday, right?
I believe so,
Yep,
yes.
Next Thursday, exciting guests. So we're working on more, but I appreciate Jay pushing us. Just know that it's not that easy. Like he's saying we should get Spencer Hall. Spencer Hall's like he goes on SVP.
I know, yeah.
Like it's not that easy for us to get Spencer Hall. Now we
Right.
can try,
Yep.
and we will.
We will, eventually.
And I would love to have Spencer Hall. I think he's actually a big fan of like Colorado, the state in general.
And he's an F1 fan.
There you go.
There you go.
Can't wait. Yeah, stay tuned. We'll have a lot more guests as we move through this offseason. And, of course, we'll have plenty of spring game content coming for you guys, too. Question time?
Let's do it.
Who's first today, Alyssa?
Let's get to 200 likes, guys.
There you go, at 144. Oh, yes.
We did. We are going to unbox it after the show.
There you go. Stay tuned. Next question from James. Who are your top 3 guests you would like to get on the show? I'm dying to
Prime's
get
number 1.
Yes, I'm dying to get Joel Klatt on the show, though. too.
Ooh.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
Joel Klatt, I think we have a good chance of.
Yeah.
I think we have a good chance of. We could, yeah.
Is
We'll get him.
Rick George one or?
Rick George could be, yeah,
Maybe.
he could be up there.
He's up there for sure.
And I want to nerd out with Sean Lewis so bad.
Yes.
And just like nerd out on offense. I just want to let him cook and just talk about offense.
Yeah, I want to show him my film room and ask him if I'm actually like on it with the play breakdowns and stuff.
You'd
Use it as a
be
learning moment.
surprised. I bet you'd be like, oh, yeah, I saw this.
Hopefully. I'd throw Andre Hart in there too.
Oh yeah.
I just think it'd be a banger front to back.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have a guest, Will?
Ooh. It's like maybe not the most realistic, but let's just toss it. I love Travis Hunter on here.
Yes.
Oh,
He
yes.
is a great interviewer, and like when he's taking over little videos just in the locker room, like he's so funny. So I'd love to have him on.
He's
We
like
have-
all personality, which I want to let
We have a
let it
Travis
shine.
Hunter fishing vlog up on his YouTube page.
Wow.
Yes.
You
That's
still gotta go fishing.
Oh,
with him.
we're
that was one of your
We're
like,
going fishing
yes,
with him.
20 things.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Don't
We
worry.
got to go fishing with Travis.
We'll make it happen.
Where was he in Colorado?
I believe so.
So he was like out there in the snow and ice fishing.
I literally just saw the video and was like, I've got so much other stuff to watch. I can't put this on, even though I really wanted to watch it. Rob J. Yes, Rob J
yeah.
will come back at some point for sure, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, in Denver live.
Yes.
That's goals.
For sure. Next question. Keith Stewart, what is CU basketball national ranking? Recruiting ranking?
No, I'm assuming
Oh,
by
Ken
like,
Palm?
Ken-
Oh, let my guy cook real quick.
I-
What's the ranking that replaced RPI?
The net.
The net, yeah. Where are we at in the net?
Ken Palm, I like Ken Palm because it goes into like the nerdy efficiencies, and we're 57th on Ken Palm.
Oh, that's not bad.
We got the 140th best offense, not that good, but 17th best defense. It is a Tad Boyle run team.
Certainly is.
So, yeah,
and that's why Tad just needs shooters. Mm-hmm. Because he'll always get them to buy in on defense and rebounding. But there's been so many years where there's a gap in the offense, and it all comes down to just not having 3-point shooters.
Yeah, and so that was Ken Palm, and I like looking at that, but that's just for like fun stats. The net rankings are the ones that kind of matter because they are like in line with the NCAA. The NCAA puts these out, and the Buffs are currently 72 in the net. So they are
Great.
They're a long shot. They're like there's no way of making it as an at-large for March Madness, but won today, so they're still live to take home the Pac-12 bid.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. They have the 18th ranked recruiting class for this year, too. 5-star helps.
That's fire.
No, yeah, it's Cody Williams, but it's not just him. You got Hassan
Yep.
Diop too.
Yep. You got another guard and Courtney Anderson
Courtney
coming
Anderson,
in, too.
yep.
Next question from Angela. She is back. Jake and RK, what do you all make of ESPN pushing for a Pac-12 ACC merger? Let's go. I'm for it, man.
You are?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I think it'd be amazing. I think if that happens, you're much closer to the Big Ten or SEC in terms of tier standards than you would be even going to the Big 12.
I would definitely love the Colorado-Florida State rivalry.
Yes.
Because
Just
Florida
for
State
that.
fans
yeah.
are so butthurt all the time. And they get even more upset anytime it involves Coach Prime. And so it's kind of weird that they're like hating one of their best players of all time. But they have no like concept of anything other than like what's happening with Florida State right now. That would be fun.
Yes.
But
I'm for it.
traveling to Florida and like North Carolina and all this stuff
Pitt.
all year round, it might work for football. In the other sports, that would get
It'd be a
messy.
disaster.
Like,
Imagine
think about like
The Washington to Miami trip. That is in the continental U.S. You can't really go much further.
No, you can't. And like, it's not just football that has to do that. It's like women's basketball and soccer that are like having to make these trips. I have a hard time believing that would be sustainable,
Yeah.
unless it's a football only collaboration, which
Which,
is maybe worth a
I
conversation.
think it might have to lean towards that.
I mean, the ACC is in a bit of a pickle, too. They have a deal going through 2036. So I think if they had a way to get out of that and try and at least maneuver
Renegotiate.
around it, yeah, I think they'd be for it. Eric with the question, Jake, what do we think if the basketball team continues to get better, more top-tier recruits, that it will be effective for Prime staying at CU?
I don't think it has any impact.
Yeah, I don't think so. If anything, the women's side would. It'd be about Shelemai.
I think it's the other way around. Coach Prime staying at CU will have a
Yes.
slight but tangible effect on all athletics on campus.
I mean, you see it just in the basketball games that Prime's come to. He walks in and
Oh,
he
dude.
gets standing ovations.
Yes.
Yeah, the vibes take a massive increase when Coach Prime enters the building. We have a super chat from EJ. Jake Travis is going to play both ways. Coach Prime is being smart, getting him help from T.O., so when he does play offense, he is sharp and has a total package to maximize his offensive attempts. Yeah, I mean, he's got to pick one at some point, though.
Because you can't play both ways in the NFL. At least not a lot.
Right.
I remember like Champ Bailey, obviously Coach Prime did it. I mean, but we're talking about you could count on one hand how many times a game this stuff is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need we didn't get a lot of support in the comments
No.
for what we said yesterday about Travis moving to offense. I feel like we need like a bet because we're on opposite sides here. I meaning you and I and the comments. We need some sort of bet between us and them about where Travis plays more this season.
Mm-hmm. Do we need a bet before the spring game?
That would certainly swing the odds.
I've got a good wager.
Let's hear it.
If the chat is right, then Jake has to grow his hair out without a hat.
No, Jake can't wear a hat for like a month.
Yeah.
Oh, no. All right. I'd take that.
If we're right, then what?
If we're right, we never have to hear we're wrong from the comments again about Travis Hunter. Yeah, shout out to the homie Champ Bailey, Sean.
Amen.
Jabriel says, any updates?
Sean's from Georgia, which I believe is where Champ is from originally.
Went to school, yeah. Jabriel says, any updates on the meeting and what happened this morning with the Pac-12? No, sir. And I think you mentioned this yesterday, actually, but George Klovkov canceled his yearly Pac-12 tournament press conference.
They don't want to. I just know he's telling his PR or whatever, like, why would I talk when I have nothing to say? They're going to ask me 50 questions about media rights, and I don't have any answers for them.
Yep. Stay tuned. Maybe soon. I wish I could tell you when, but soon. RK, what are your birthday plans?
Same as every year. Sushi dinner.
Nice.
It's pretty much what I always just mark down. Going with some family and friends to Sushi Den, which is the best Denver has to offer. So excited about that. And then I don't know. I wanted to do something cool this weekend, but like most things in my life, I didn't plan it.
So planning in a Buffs win, though?
A Buffs win tomorrow would be huge. That'd be
a great way to celebrate.
That would be a great gift.
Yes. From PD Swag, if you could go on the road to watch CU play football against any school, where would you want to go and why?
I've been to a lot of places watching Colorado play football. The thing I've yet to do is any SEC school. So it would probably be Bryant-Denny or going to Georgia. I've heard amazing things about Ole Miss and the game day atmosphere they have there. So that's kind of one of the ones that I just haven't, like, I've been to the Big House watching the Buffs. I've been lots of places, but no SEC schools yet.
I'd throw Florida State out there just because I know it'd be just such an entertaining environment.
Buffs played at Florida State, 10 years ago or so.
How'd it go?
Not great, but we also had them at home, and that one was a little bit better.
Let's get them back.
Gotta.
That should be a home and home.
We did a home and home with Georgia. We beat them at home.
Ooh.
Yep.
AJ Green kind of went off that game, but
he did.
Buffs got the win.
He had a catch that is still played on like just random college football highlight reels.
Yeah.
Just one-handed mossing in the back of the end zone.
Will.
Oh. I think I was thinking about this, and there's a ton of places I'd want to go, but it'd have to be like perfectly set up where the Buffs are the team going in that week, but I'd love to go to Happy Valley for the Penn State whiteout game, and the Buffs are the whiteout. Super, like, that'll never happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I watched the Penn State whiteout games on TV, and I'm like, that is a college football environment I just need to check out. And it'd be cool if the Buffs are somehow in it one day. But
yep.
Texas again would be cool. Florida State is the one I said. But
all right.
I don't know. So many
I'd rather
options.
go to Florida.
The Swamp would be sick too.
Yeah.
I mean, a game against Clemson, just going to Death Valley would be cool. Death Valley at LSU would be cool too.
Yeah,
I've heard incredible things about the tailgate.
If the place is called Death Valley, it's probably a good football environment.
Yes. We're at 178 likes, guys. 22 more and we hit 200. Let's get that done. Question from Isra TV. What do you think about Tyron Taylor joining the show as YouTube videos have been taken off?
Word.
Yeah. There's so many YouTube channels.
I can't believe everyone has a YouTube channel.
It's wild. I can't keep up. I literally can't. There's
we
too
need
many.
someone to make like a sizzle reel.
Yes.
Just go through everyone's. Like, we can keep up with Well Off.
Yeah.
The pregame show. Maybe a few other ones. Reach the people.
Mm-hmm. Travis.
Yeah, but we need someone to just like go take the highlights of everyone else's and send them to us.
That'd be a fire segment though, like best of the week from YouTube at every Friday or
would
something.
be.
Huh.
If only we had like an intern or something who could do this.
Yeah, if only we
Javier with another question. I need the hoodie that Will is wearing.
It's actually not a hoodie.
Break the
He's
news.
full
Yep.
too.
So I'm kind of being a poser. It's a shirt that I am putting over a hoodie.
I don't think that's a poser. That's like that's a vibe these
No,
days.
I mean
Yeah.
it's nice for winter. Like I don't know if I do like a white shirt with a black hoodie, but black hoodie with black shirt works because it just kind of
blends.
Yeah.
into this. But
Everyone,
yeah.
including me, thought it was a hoodie.
So yeah, it's just like a basic black hoodie, and then the shirt. I wish I could put people onto it, but my friends got it for me at a vintage shop in Boulder. So
You
just
don't
like-
ever put anyone onto your swag, bro.
yeah,
Under lock and key.
That's actually why I started rocking vintage. I was like, I want to get one of one items that no one else can jack.
I think I was scrolling on Instagram one day and I saw like a Jordan Tyson vintage shirt. Did I tell you about
Wow.
Huh.
No.
that? Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'll have to dig that up for you. Is that it?
We need 9 more.
9 more likes. Come on. We talking Buffs basketball again tomorrow?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll definitely be we'll be discussing what happened in the game regardless.
Yes.
But hopefully we're leading with it because they won again.
There you go.
Those are the rules. You got to win to be in the first segment.
Love it. While we still have you guys here, make sure you also check out the DNVR Buffs podcast on Apple Podcasts and at Spotify. We've really been appreciating all your reviews, all your 5-star reviews, all the kind words. Let's keep on going though. We're only at 4.6 on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
Feel like
Being held down by previous versions of the show.
Yes, exactly. Let's get that bumped up. All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Only 194. Damn.
Tough day.
95.
Yep. Tough day. PD Swag, stay tuned. We'll get to your gift. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Buffs.
Let's go,
Let's go
Buffs.
Buffs.